Hey Bat fans, Luke here, back ready to bat chat about this week's main Batman release title, and that is Batman issue number 47, which serves as the third and final installment of the Gift storyline, which has obviously Tom King doing the writing and then Tony S. Daniel doing the art. Right here you got the main cover done by Tony S. Daniel. Fantastic cover. It pretty much shows all the strengths you kind of see in Tony S. Daniel's work. Also do have the variant cover. Here, this is Amanda Conner variant cover. Thematically, I kind of like it. You get kind of different versions of some of the Bat characters you kind of see. You got like the 66 series. Batman coupled with the 66 series. Catwoman. Batman, Catwoman. Obviously, you got different variations of Harley floating around. Obviously, Harley with Amanda Conner. Pretty important because she had that really long run with her husband Jimmy Palmiotti on the Harley Quinn character. But to be honest, really no contest. This one goes to the main cover done by Tony S. Daniel. The only thing I can kind of knock it on is the Batman's face. Looks a little bit too narrow, especially when you kind of have example of Scope dealing with Booster Gold. A little bit more, I don't want to say wide, but not as narrow as that. But that said, everything from the colors by Morey, and I think Danny Miki does the inks. I'm not 100% certain. I think so. Should have looked. Who's doing it? Oh, jeez. It's Flory, yeah, Mickey and Flory doing the inks. Everyone, fantastic job on this cover. I love it. So there's the cover. It's kind of getting into the story. And again, this kind of wraps up the Gift, and the Gift is a really polar story when you kind of look at in scope of how the Bat community is kind of receiving this. One criticism, it's not really a criticism, it was a point that I keep hearing from time to time. And I never bought into the point that's being said because I'll get into it in a minute. In that this 3-issue story is kind of like a not Nowhere's Town, jeez. Kind of like an out of continuity story, Elseworld story, if you would. And I beg to differ, and I really didn't say too much about it initially. Simply because I really didn't know where this was going to go, to be perfectly honest. But how it ended, it sealed the deal. This story should be considered canon. It's in continuity. Any thought to the contrary, please let me know in the comments below. Because I think, this kind of seals the deal. How this kind of wrapped up. That said, the story as a whole... And at some point, I know I've been really doing the trades with the current stories, and later on down the road, I might kind of do those again. Kind of like sticking with the classics or the lesser-known ones. This one definitely is going to be one I'm going to have to kind of read again in whole, and then kind of put some more thoughts into it after I kind of let it synthesize a little bit. Because as a whole... I think I look at the Gift, I kind of look at the Gift as this. The 3-issue story. Clearly, I think they're obviously marking time. Because you got the couple issues, 48 and 49, was dealing with the Joker. So, between how we had ended up in issue number 44, leading up to now, you kind of had to mark some time a little bit. So, in retrospect, is this a filler story? I probably believe so. Filler story with great art. I keep going back to it. We've really been blessed with the Batman title. The art throughout, fantastic. Tony S. Daniel, I said way back when this story started, it was good to see Tony S. Daniel doing Batman again. Forever criticism you might have in his writing, his art, I think it's great. But with the Gift, being that it was filler, I don't think this is typically necessary. But that said, put it in scope, I think this was a filler story, and clearly, and that was kind of, I think, known by Tom King. It wasn't bad. I don't think this is one you're going to remember, to be honest. I don't think this is one where you're, you're 20 years forward, and then you're getting all your trades lined up to get your bat continuity chronological timeline straight. I don't think you're going to be running, beating down the doors to hunt down the gift. But that said, I thought it was an entertaining story for what it is. And thematically, it kind of tied in a story of storytelling, a type of a story that encompasses storytelling. I get it. That kind of continued the story on a little bit, with focusing on the periphery of what's going on. In scope, if you kind of keep it in that context, it's okay, but far from perfect. Really far from perfect. Because again, this is not one I don't think is gonna be an epic one. This one is just kind of, it is what it is. I enjoyed it, although it had its flaws. Mainly, I think, Booster Gold. But what basically happens in this story, and I'll kind of keep this relatively brief. So we ended up, obviously, we had Bruce Wayne saw his parents murdered, and right in front of him, and it was all kind of dealt with like a trifecta. We had Booster Gold, you had the crazy murder, one-word meowing Selina Kyle Catwoman, broken out of Arkham Asylum by Booster Gold, and they also have the Dick Grayson Batman, who's one that flew over the cuckoo's nest and whatnot, and then in one gigantic chaotic swoop, it's just chaos. We have the death of Bruce's parents, but definitely not in one we know of as of today, how it kind of panned out. So one thing I was kind of wondering all along in this story, and I remember seeing this in the first issue, the biggest flaw I had with this was, why don't Booster Gold just go back in time and correct the issue that he made, with obviously going back with the point of the gift, preventing his parents or Bruce's parents from being killed. So that's the problem. Well, why don't you go back? And I know the argument might be, well, Skeet got destroyed. Well, that said, you kind of see it. That was the big argument, is that if that's the biggest problem, just go back in time, fix Skeet, do what you got to do, and then you kind of self-correct from there. And that basically is what happens in here. Bruce Wayne, obviously, he wants to, he realizes that's the key too, just go back in time. So he spends about a year. So encompassing in this story was over 2 years, because the initial story we had what we had, and then kind of go 1 year later, that's when Booster Gold finds Catwoman. And then now we get 1 year. So this story in a whole encompassed a time of a little bit over 2 years. So 1 year later, so 2 years into the story, they get Skeet back working, I guess we assume through Alfred. Can't really confirm for sure, it doesn't really say. But the problem with Skeet is that he is voice activated and only links to the voice, specifically with Booster Gold. And what Bruce has got is Booster Gold kind of tied into a cave. Maybe a bat cave, I don't know. It's just one of those ones that's weird, because this Bruce Wayne obviously ain't Batman, and he actually hates Batman. He's actually using Batman and Catwoman silhouettes as target practice with him and his gun, whatever. So Booster kept prisoner for over a year, really lost some weight, and Batman or Bruce Wayne realized, hey, need you to go link up with this machine, need to go back in time, and then we're gonna prevent my parents from getting killed by Selina or Catwoman and Batman. And that's basically the initial part. And as this is going on, you see kind of Booster Gold, and he just goes full Booster Gold in this issue. But when he tells him that's where Booster Gold kind of puts two and two together. Like, yeah, let's go back in time right before Bruce's parents were killed. Wink to Skeet. Obviously, this being, we're not going to go back to the time that Bruce Wayne thinks he's going to prevent his parents from being killed. Booster's going to go back in time right before Bruce's parents were killed in what we would know as the main timeline. I've been kind of using the whole Back to the Future kind of reference throughout the stories, that you had the main timeline, then you had splinter timelines where you kind of affect the future due to an event that you changed in the past. Well, that's basically it. So he's going to go back to the main timeline and basically use this opportunity to go back and correct himself from preventing Bruce's parents in their main timeline we know from getting killed. Really confusing. I'm not going to sit there and diagram this out, but that's basically the gist. And in doing so, they do go back, and it kind of parallels the night of obviously Bruce's parents being killed. Going back as Bruce and Booster Gold, as Bruce finally realizes basically, hey, you screwed this up, and then actually, right before he does that, he actually goes to shoot Booster Gold, and in doing so, before Booster Gold takes the bullet, Skeet actually takes it for him. But it's just funny how this is going on. This conversation between Bruce and Booster kind of coincides with obviously the last moments of Bruce's parents' life. They leave the theater, the Mask of Zorro movie, and the conversation and noise that are going on kind of parallels obviously what exactly happens. But as this occurs, the future Booster Gold comes back, and then we have a clash between future Booster Gold, who's there to obviously prevent Bruce's parents from getting murdered so they can prevent the gift, or present the gift to Bruce. Then you got the current Booster Gold, and then you have the splintered timeline Bruce Wayne, and it's just I really should have diagrammed this out. But basically, this is basically what's coming into. This is something I said from the very beginning that they should go ahead and do. Go back in time. And that's basically what we have here. We have the events. Obviously, the future, or the Booster Gold as we know it, fighting with the future Batman. Actually, what happens is the shot goes off, and the shot that goes off actually hits the future Booster Gold that's there to do what he's got to do with the gift. It's so freaking confusing. But basically, what comes down to it, the one that's coming down to originally prevent Bruce's parents, Booster Gold, gets obviously shot and killed. And then as that happens, obviously the shot goes off. Then we see in that fatal scene in the alley where we have the death of Bruce's parents. Batman, or Bruce Wayne, future altered timeline Bruce Wayne, realizes what happens. And then you see a twist at the very end where when Bruce Wayne realizes what happens, he knows that he can't go back to his original time and prevent his parents from being murdered. Then he sees what happens. I think he kind of puts two and two together what this is. He realizes his parents were murdered, obviously in the alleyway, and basically commits suicide right in front of Booster Gold. And what kind of trumps this, again, that's saying this is not just kind of like an Elseworld story, is how it kind of wraps up at the very end, where basically Booster Gold is telling the story, what he tried to do for a gift for Bruce and Selina, and he basically recants it and kind of wraps it up, saying, hey, this is what I did, basically, sorry, it did not work out well. And that's basically the issue. Without going any forward, the art, again, in this was just fantastic. I did not see much of anything I could critique on the art. Tony S. Daniel, well, again, it's kind of like a Tony S. Daniel-ism. His nose is on some people. It just looks like kind of like triangles and blocky and just kind of out of distortion. But beyond that, I thought throughout the art in this was just fantastic. Color art, our color, inks, pencils, everyone just on point. This was a visual treat to behold, and I thought it was just really great. Even the parts where we have, again, like Booster Gold being like 80 pounds. Kind of like the whole Castaway effect with Tom Hanks. Just great. So I can't critique any of that. The story, I think I kind of... The first thing is right off this, right here. I guess this is kind of infer, obviously, Booster Gold being in prison, but it's kind of like tongue-in-cheek. This is like the Batcave. Well, the problem with this is, unless we're trying to assume that, again, just out of spite, Bruce Wayne and his hate and disdain for the Dick Grayson Batman, that he's just going to use the Batman, the disdain he has for him, to create this Batcave. Again, it just felt kind of off. Because, again, this Bruce Wayne... not even hates Batman. So this to assume he's had Booster Gold in prison in this Bat Cave, I thought was kind of off. Again, the dialogue I thought for Booster Gold was choppy. You know, it had some funny moments. The greatest thing was interaction with him and Skeet. I thought was great. This whole scene right here, and he's kind of like using like this is like a quantified way to kind of tell his origin. I thought Once again, it was alright, but it just comes down to it. Save his interaction with Skeet, I thought Booster Gold's throughout this whole entire series, I thought it was choppy and not all that entertaining, just to be perfectly frank. But I love the concept of the story. I love it. I love how it all wrapped up. Again, going back to the past, and then in doing so, you're ultimately going to run into, the future-ish. Booster Gold is there to go back in time to set the conditions for the gift in the first place. I love how it all came full circle. I like that. And I like how this kind of wrapped up to the fact, again, this could be considered a story that's in canon. But that said, I don't know. You just wonder, at the end of the day, was this a Booster Gold story or a Batman story? That's what basically comes down to. Or if it's a Booster Gold story, I think there might be more relevance with it. I just kind of go back to the fact that, this was a three-part issue that clearly was there meant to just kind of mark some time. To get to the 2 issues we're going to have with the Joker, the Great Joker story that I'm really excited for, before we hit issue 50, the big one. And, again, I get the thematic connection. Obviously, Booster Gold want to give a gift for Bruce on his wedding day. And ultimately, in theory, it was a very good idea. Just obviously the things that kind of came out of it caused a whole lot of chaos. But I just think the chaos itself was chaotic and trying to map it out in 3 issues. I don't even want to say you want to drag it out even more. So again, if you kind of keep it in context, okay. Not perfect. Again, this is not one I'm going to be. Whatever. I see where people have gripes with this. Put it that way. But actually, I see on the contrast some positives to it. But that said, the positives, again, you got to keep this in context. This is not issue number 50. This is marking time, and a way to do so, kind of put a 3-issue story in that kind of ties in the theme and the concept, but does really nothing to kind of progress it forward. And if you're a Booster Gold fan, great. You'll enjoy this probably more than most. In hindsight, I'm going to give this... I will be super genius. Mainly because the art was just so good. But I'll give this a 3 out of 5. Give it a 3. But you got to keep it in context of everything I kind of said. And if you keep that concept in mind, you can kind of see why I would give it a 3. But as 3 as it is, which is not stellar anyway, again, this is one where it's just kind of like, it is what it is. Don't regret enjoying these 3 issues. I enjoyed reading this one in particular. But again, it's just thematically, I get it. Concept was okay. Execution was kind of rough. Kind of take it for what it is. So 3 out of 5, but this would be like a 3 out of 5, but probably might feel like a 2 out of 5. So take it for what it is. So anyway, my thoughts on Batman 47. Next video, I'm torn. I kind of want to do a review of the Batman Superpowers book. Kind of collected some of the issues of Batman Confidential. Or do I want to do a Holy Bat issue? Because I've been really hitting these Batman New 52 variants hard. And I'm only missing a couple. Where I have the second or the B cover for every issue in the Batman New 52 run. So, and then I got a couple key issues in as well. Been kind of holding off. So, don't know which one. Either Superpowers or kind of do a haul video. So, probably look out for that. Probably sometime tomorrow. So, anyway, until then, again, hit me up in the comments below what you thought of this issue. And then we'll kind of bat chat and go from there. So, until next video, take care.